Battle of the phones, LG G5 versus
the Galaxy S7. Both were announced at the Mobile World Conference in Barcelona, and we got an exclusive first look at both of them.
Pretty cool. Well, I got to say right off the bat, they're both winners to me. These are two beautiful phones by two fantastic mobile device manufacturers, LG and Samsung.
Yeah, some of the top two manufacturers right now in the smartphone race, especially on the Android side. Of course, there is the Apple iPhone, but when you're an Android user and you're looking for a premium phone, at some point in time, you're going to be comparing both of these, which is why we're going to compare them for you.
So a lot of comparable specs in them in terms of performance. Both of them are using the Snapdragon 820 processor.
Yeah, this is the Qualcomm Snapdragon 820 processor, which is like creme de la creme.
Yeah.
And both have 4 gigabytes of RAM. So under the hood, you're looking spec-wise very, very similar. In battery life, this has a 3,000 milliamp hour battery, whereas the G5 has a 2,800. Now, you'd think this would perform better, but if you do kind of like a side-by-side test, you're going to notice that this one can still handle the same amount. So there's a lot of efficiencies going on with that battery power.
And a lot of that has to do with the efficiency, of course, running the AMOLED screen, and this one running the IPS technology.
That's right. This is a 5.1 screen, whereas yours is
5.3.
So a little bit bigger, smaller battery, but at the same time, it performs just as well. And the IPS screen, I have to tell you, if we put the brightness all the way up, and we're not because it's going to wreck our cameras here, it is very, very bright.
Definitely.
Yeah. For an IPS screen, I'm very, very impressed. The AMOLED's pretty nice, but I'd have to give it to the screen for that.
32 gigs memory, internal storage built on, and you can upgrade through SD card as well.
Now, one of the big criticisms of the Galaxy S6 was they took away the removable storage, but they brought it back. And right on the top here, you have the ability to add additional storage to this, which is something a lot of Samsung users were asking for. Thankfully, Samsung listened and did that. Not only, this can be submerged in water for up to 30 minutes. So if you do drop it, say you're talking on the toilet and you drop it in there, it's okay. In fact, you could leave it in the toilet for 30 minutes. We don't recommend you do, but you could.
So that's one difference between the two phones. This one, do not drop it into the toilet. One thing I will say when we are talking about differences, the cameras are quite different on the two of these as well. What you'll notice on the LG G5 is they've actually built in 2 cameras, something we really haven't really seen before. They put in a wide-angle lens, which is wide-angle lens, which is 130-degree viewing angle.
135, actually.
135. You get an extra 5 degrees. Yeah. And then also a normal camera. So one 16 megapixel for the regular camera, and then 8 megapixel for the 135. It's interesting because then when you actually use the phone, you have the choice between which lens you actually want to activate.
Which is interesting because sometimes you want to get a shot and you have to back up. Now you just have to change the camera because you have a wide angle. Yeah. For the Samsung, there is a 12 megapixel camera on the back and 5 on the front. What Samsung did was they didn't want to get into the whole spec war in terms of megapixels, but they did improve the camera. A fantastic lens, does very well in low light conditions, as does the G5. So whatever phone you get, you're getting a fabulous camera on both of them.
One of the things that we noticed about the LG G5, again different from the Samsung, was that the power connector was different. So this is using the new USB Type-C.
Which is a reversible USB port. Yeah. Samsung, no, it still has your standard micro USB, but they do have these inductive chargers. So this is an accessory you can get. And it's great if you put this at your office, say on your desk, and when you get down, you can just put it there. And now it's using wireless inductive charging to charge it. And it's actually really fast. We're seeing a lot of advancements in the inductive charging technology.
One more thing that I'll mention, one thing we've noticed about the predecessors of the G5, specifically in the LG G3 and the G4, was that it had the removable back cover. That's no longer the case, but they've actually moved to a modular design, and they've taken a playbook out of Google. As you can see here, if I just do this right, I can actually pull out the bottom of the phone with that modular design. This is interesting because now you can actually look at upgrading your device by changing the modules that are available. One of the big things, I know that you beat up my battery at 2,800 milliamps, but you can actually get a different module that has a larger battery size.
You can get up to 4,000 milliamp battery, and that's great if you're somebody who's out and about and needs that extra kind of storage. This is the first modular design phone. As AJ mentioned, it started with Google Aura, and they're really encouraging the manufacturers to design phones smartphones. They're kind of like Lego, where you can take a little piece out, put something else in. You can get a modular design to get, like, say, a camera button on there. You can get one for if you're an audiophile to enhance the audio quality. So a lot of these accessory makers are going to start making modular components that you could put into your smartphone to basically personalize it to the way you want it.
So let's talk a little bit about this sort of industrial design side of things. So two beautiful phones. I think that, when I look at the two of them, I think Samsung is still sort of outperforming when it comes to that design aesthetic. Now, that's a personal choice.
But
this is a pre-production model, so there might
true.
be some final changes before it hits the marketplace, but I still have a sense of a plasticky type feel to this versus that metal and glass.
There's a big difference, though. Over here, you can notice there's an antenna band, and a lot of the smartphones have that band for the antenna. What LG did is they're using a process called microdizing. I'm not really sure what that is, or they won't really specify what it really does, but basically there is no antenna band on the back. It's kind of like submerged everywhere on the phone. Whatever they did, it still works great, and it's kind of like a hidden technology that they've kept secret. Now, while I'm a fan of this kind of chrome finish, you're gonna run into the whole problem of getting fingerprints. The same kind of thing you do if you get a chrome like refrigerator. You always get those fingerprints, and you're gonna always have to clean it. And that's something that you don't see on the plastic design phones, but when you're on the premium level, you wish that they had some type of technology to get rid of all that fingerprints.
I think that when it comes to features and functionality and future looking, I think the LG G5 definitely is maybe one step ahead. Personally, I think that way. From a design aesthetic, I think that the Samsung is still outperforming in terms of look, feel, and materials.
Either way, you can't go wrong with either of the phones. They are on their premium level. So if you're in the market for a smartphone, especially an Android phone, and you want a premium one, you got to check it out, the Galaxy S7 and the LG
G5.